Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Myanmar goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vic Akers Wonderland. We are internationally being loved as everyone around us is on duty internationally. I think we got a bit of a smile there. So, Lottie, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all right, apart from our pre-pod conversation telling me Samantha Leah's gone to Tottenham Hotspur, giving me a heart attack. But other than that, I'm
Samantha?
great. I'm great.
Yeah, it was,
Not Samantha. Vivian Leah. What am I
Vivian
talking
Leah,
about? Samantha
yeah.
Leah. I'm thinking of someone else. I don't actually know. Sorry, Sam. But yeah, Vivian Leah. You're going to Tottenham. What?
let's just say there was it's too late for April Fools, but there was a bit of transfer news that came out a bit too late with Araya Dennis actually being moved on to Tottenham, but she's staying at Crystal Palace on a dual line. But no one knew about that. It all came out on her Instagram. Anyway, Adam, how are you?
Very tired. That's only because I only got home early this morning from the game at Wembley. So very tired, and I've very much been sort of dragged back out of bed and shoved into this podcast. So hopefully, by the time it comes to me to speak again, I'll be a bit more wide awake and have something more intelligent to offer.
Right, so we'll kick off straight away with the news. So the under-16s will take on Manchester United in the FA League. I think it's the FA Cup, the FA Youth Cup.
Yeah.
This one will be at Sixfields, which is Northampton Town's stadium. Kickoff is 11 a.m. on the 27th of April. That's not too far away, but I believe it is the day before we take on Manchester City. Or no, it's not Manchester City. It's one of the lot. Sorry, it might be Bristol. Anyway, we have some news regarding Man City away. That's on the 5th of May. That is a 2:15 kickoff on BBC One. Tickets will be going on sale for season ticket holders on Tuesday. Wednesday, it goes on to general sale. Over 300 tickets have been made available for this game. Now,
Is that it?
Yeah, it's a very small allocation.
It's going to be a cutthroat purchases then. Wow.
Yeah. So quite the contrast from Stamford Bridge's 6,000.
No, absolutely. I mean, thing is, I think they're worried we will outnumber their home fans in that case. Oh dear.
Well, I think we can guarantee that there will be Arsenal fans in the home end.
Absolutely. We invade. If we can't get our own stand, we invade like we did with Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not gonna allocate us, we'll just allocate ourselves, and stuff it.
didn't even have to invite the question or anything. You just went straight in, which I really love about you. So you just went
straight in, straight to the throat, like no messing.
I don't even know what the capacity. Capacity. Thank you, Adam. It's an early morning. I think we're all a little bit tired.
Are you having a Lottie moment where she can't get the words out of her mouth?
Yeah, a bit tongue tied at the moment. I don't know what the capacity is. I think
just
it's roughly
under
around
5,000. It's just under 5,000.
Right, okay, so.
And they're only giving us 300. Are you actually serious?
Yeah.
It's all right. Arsenal fans invade. You know what to do.
There was a lovely moment as we head towards the kickoff between Sweden and England at Wembley. The Lionesses were wearing the British Sign Language of their name on the back of the net. So Rachel Daly in sign language, which was really nice to see. What were your thoughts on the British Sign Language, just quickly?
It was good. I mean, there was a big push, and I may be stealing some future questions, Matt, in which case I apologise. But on the night, there was a big push for British Sign Language. We saw on the screen they had interpreters doing BSL. to the crowd at half time. They'd had the England deaf Lionesses on the pitch, communicating with them, talking about their achievements with their football team. Obviously, the train tops you mentioned. I mean, again, we can talk about Arsenal in this sense. We've been leading BSL in the stadiums. We've been doing that for seasons now, whether it be on the pitch side interviews or whenever there's a goal. It's really good to see this being further integrated into the game, because I know a few Arsenal fans who do have issues with their hearing. I don't know what the official term is for it.
Hard of hearing, I think,
yeah.
or hearing impaired is what.
Hearing impaired, I think that's it. Yeah, so hearing impairments. There's a few Arsenal fans we know who have hearing impairments, and stuff like this makes a big difference, especially when it's a packed, noisy stadium and you're trying to find out what's going on. So really good from the Arsenal from England rather. Sorry, do pod this week. Really good of England to do this. I don't know if it's going to be a one-off because of what's happening with obviously the deaf Lioness is coming on at half time, and whether it's just to acknowledge that or whether it's going to be a future thing. But the sentiment is certainly correct. I hope it's the latter. I hope it's something they're going to continue to do going forward.
Lottie,
I couldn't agree more on that one. I think it's really important just to be inclusive. As Adam said, we've been doing it at the Emirates for a few years now, and it's almost the norm. And it's actually quite enjoyable. I kind of tune myself out to what he's saying. I'd rather listen to what the sign is saying. Well, read what the sign is saying, I should say. But it's a lot. It just shows the inclusivity of the sport. As Arsenal say, Arsenal is for everyone, and we're already paving the way for that. And I'm just really pleased that the Lionesses are now paving that way. I think with Izzy, I think that was maybe the turning point. Like, we need to think for the bigger picture, and I'm really quite excited about that, because I've also found out Izzy is also a Gooner, which is absolutely brilliant. So it's just great to see. Just everybody getting involved, and it's actually from this academic year, it's actually a standard requirement that all the wonderful teenagers of the future have to do GCSE British Sign Language. I mean, I would have loved to done that in school. I don't know about you guys. That would have been awesome.
Well, I hated learning French and German at school.
Oh, so did I. Yeah, I hate French and Spanish.
Well, yeah. Well, German was the sort of the preference of the two. Duolingo didn't exist when I was. It shows how old I am. We didn't even have Duolingo to fall back on to learn our languages. It was just reread the words until you learnt them, or write them out continuously, and then have to memorize how to say, "I want to go to the shops and buy an Arsenal top" in German for my audio exam. But the idea of a British Sign Language GCSE is intriguing, because it is through gestures and not your voice. You don't have to learn a word. You just have to learn the word that represents it with your hand gestures. It's also, I
think if you look at the back of the England shirts, it was actually the spellings of individual letters.
Yeah.
Because where I used to work in a special needs school, it was combined with a regular school, because they shared the same building. And we used to take the young, like, reception, year 1, year 2, over into the school, and they would join them for their BSL lessons. So I'm looking at these back of these shirts. I'm like, I know what that says, without actually looking at which shade of blonde and whatever.
I've always found these fascinating, like learning, like communicating with hands, or if the case of people with visual impairment, communicating with Braille. And how you can do that, how you have to use your other senses rather than audio or visual. I'm fascinated by it. It's one of those things I would have liked to have learnt, but I feel that ship has passed for me now. But certainly the younger generation coming through learning.
You learn every day. That ship hasn't sailed. If you really wanted to do it, Adam, you would, and I know you would.
Yeah,
so if really good at it.
I think if I wanted to, if there was an incentive for me to do it, if I could be bothered, I would. But certainly the younger generation coming through. And we should say also, in a lot of TV shows, we're seeing now a lot of characters that are doing BSL. I think back to, there was a His Dark Materials. They had a character there who did BSL with her, and I think also there was a Marvel series as well that has a character that did the same. So.
Even in books that I'm reading, the authors are more bringing that up. The current series I'm reading is the Rebecca Yarros series, and it's more and more like there's two main characters that are signed to each other. Although it's all written word, you can just sit there, picture them signing certain things to each other. it's pretty cool.
No, very cool.
Just reminded me, Lottie, as well, is that there was a video that you posted as well with one of the Arsenal managers.
No, it was Mikel Arteta. He was sitting there with a fan. They had the translators, and they were talking about like, what do you shout at the players? And he's like, oh, there's a lot of praise, and the guys translate like into the fan that signs. And then he taught him some stuff like attack, and defend, and
Pressing,
well done,
was.
and all that kind of stuff. I think it could be really interesting if we start incorporating it into football, especially if the other teams aren't doing this, because you don't know in other clubs unless you're there in the ground consistently.
That's what's bringing more fans in, is that we're looking to do that. If you have such a animated manager, it helps because you can sort of feel that.
Like Adam said, though, you don't want a manager who just sits there. I know we had the days of Arsene Wenger with the men's team. Sorry, we are dipping on the other side of the fence right now, but he was always composed. But that's not it was like then. But now you want an animated manager. You don't want someone who just sits there and looks miserable as Conte did last season, or even Mourinho before that. You don't want that.
Would also say Fergie always got away with, bellowing at officials and so forth, and the press.
So does Hayes.
Yeah,
exactly. So does Hayes. Do you know what I mean? It's just, yeah.
Well, just maybe to conclude on BSL, one thing I was going to say is tactically, because if Mikel Arteta said he was learning it, how would it be if our managers, rather than having to shout the words across to the players, communicate through BSL so that the opposition, if they haven't been trained in it, wouldn't necessarily know what we're planning? So there was a whole thing years ago in a cup final. Jonas held up different coloured cards to indicate like formation changes, but you could go into greiter detail with BSL to say to switch to a back three, push the wingers forwards more, drop like cool. I think I think there could be something in that.
No,
especially as things are getting louder.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that would be really, really good. Actually, I never noticed the card thing, and now I think about it, but no, yeah. No, but no, absolutely. I mean, it's just like exciting times. If we can all go forward internationally and domestically with this, I'd be happy with it. Yeah. It's exciting times.
And a little bit of more of an update on Frida Leonhardsen-Marnem. Frida was monitored by 2 cardiologists. No obvious causes found from these investigations so far. Frida now has a monitoring device installed to record her heart function and will now undergo a progressive return to training protocol once Frida has been monitored for 1 week of her normal training will be closely reviewed before returning to play. Due to this, she will not join up with Norway for their games against Finland and Netherlands.
Sorry, Norway, but good. That's what Arsenal fans feel right now.
Yep.
We just want her back as soon as possible. I know the cardiologists were the two atop of their game in the field, so it's not concerning. But if there's no obvious cause, there's got to be something there for them to be monitoring it. So a little worried. I don't think we'll see her for the rest of the season, though.
No, and I don't think we should. I think the season is so near the end, and the Arsenal.
Hang on a second. Sky and Bristol have said the season ends on the 5th of April.
Well,
it's already over. Sorry, it's already over. Did you guys not see it all over social media? That was such a
blunder,
boo-boo moment.
Yes. Bit of a typo there from Bristol. I think, given that there are no stakes at the moment in Arsenal's season. I mean, we just need a handful of wins, and we should touch wood, have enough to get them over the line. But given that we're not in a title race, we're not in any more cup competitions, we've already got silver in the bank. There is no need to rush Frida win. We've got the players who can play out the season without her. And then
we've got the squad depth. We can put Kimi in 10. We can put Russo in 10.
Exactly that. So
we've got the depth, so it's nothing to kind of fear.
Yeah, but you don't have to rush her back. We can,
like last season.
Yeah, we can study her and aid of her recovery, monitor her, and we've got the whole of the summer to do it. And we're the rest of the season, and then hopefully that'll give us a better idea of what's happening. But it's good that the club are at least taking this as seriously as we would have hoped.
Wait and see as well, because the internationals also go on throughout the summer. So
there's
that
to
consider.
That was a heap of sarcasm from our end anyway.
So let's just quickly run off the number of players that have been called up for the Lioness under-19s. Madison Earle, Vivian Leah, Michelle Agman and Freya Godfrey. They ended up winning 2-0 against Switzerland. They then face Portugal today at 6 p.m. Although there's nowhere to watch it, and Italy will also be on Tuesday 3 p.m. kickoff. Again, nowhere to watch that. Call ups: Catherine Muller-Cool, Victoria for Denmark, Victoria Pelova for Netherlands, Manu Zinsberger and Laura Weinreuter for Austria, Leah Codina for Spain, Leah Williamson, Lotta Weavermoy, Beth Mead and Alessia Russo for England, Stina Blackstenius for Sweden, Kate McCabe for Ireland. Running out of breath here. Emily Fox for the US in the for the She Believes Cup. Sabrina and Chloe Lacasse for Canada for the She Believes Cup as well. So just quickly go on to the games that have been in place. Spain won 7-0. Leah Codina did not play. Katie McCabe played for Ireland as France won 1-0. Austria had probably one of the best games of the lot, when it were 2-0 up and then lost 3-2 with Manu in goal. Laura did not play. Denmark took on Czechia in a 3-1 win. Katrina Kuhl played 61 minutes.
Cool.
I missed out Victoria. Victoria Lotta was playing for the Netherlands. She played 74 minutes as they lost 2-0 to Italy. And I think I have gathered.
Wait, they lost 2-0?
Oh, you didn't know about this? Hang on, you didn't know about this?
No.
Oh yes, they had a stinker. Yeah, we were following this in the stadium. So I was sat with a friend of the pod, Ali, and you had the is it sofa score or player score? It calls those apps that have all the scores going. So we're following it, and it's obviously all over Twitter. That the Netherlands had an absolute stinker. Now my understanding is that they had a lot of players out injured. Obviously no Vivian Miedema, but I think there was no Rod either. I don't think they had Jackie Hornan either.
She won't be.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but there's definitely any. I think Jackie Hornan might have been. There was a lot of star players absent, and they the second goal is a cross that loops over the keeper and inside the far post. It's a bit
That wasn't Girelli, was it? I need to go and have a look at this now.
Yeah,
1 second.
it's worth. Yeah, exactly. So the Netherlands had a stinker, as far as I know. 2-0. They got an easier group than us, and I think we can agree Italy have been a bit of a serial underperformers. So this is a bit of a shock for them. Ireland, France. I think France got an early goal, but there was a moment. I think Katie McCabe had a moment right near the end, visibly frustrated. It's a cross that missed her out. And then, the other thing with the Netherlands game is Pelova. Reports have come out that she will not be available for the rest of the internationals due to picked up a potential injury. It's sort of, I think the word they use was it might be a niggle, so it might be a small injury, but it sounds like she's been ruled out of the rest of the internationals, which isn't great considering how great she's been for us. And yeah,
give her that rest though.
Yeah, give her that rest, and then Germany, Austria, we were sort of half following. Couldn't believe to see they were 2-0 up on Germany. Very surprised that Weinreuter got called up because she hasn't played a minute of first team football since the Wolfsburg game last season. So yeah, a curious decision to bring her up, but I suppose it will, if she doesn't play a game, doing squad drills and training with the international setup will aid in her recovery. So maybe there is an element of that involved. So yeah, good run out for most of our players. You say Katrina Muller-Cool, getting minutes for Denmark, great to see. Interesting, you mentioned the She Believes Cup. Who's actually in the lineup this time around? Because we always used to get called up for that. We even won it one year. So it's Canada and USA. Do we know who else is in it?
So Emily Fox will take on Japan for the US. That's 5:30 tonight. Canada with Sabrina and Chloe will take on Brazil. That will be 8 p.m. in there. She believes, but they've done it a bit differently this time. They decided that it's going to be semi-finals and then third place playoff and final. So
just for who don't know, She Believes Cup just used to be 4 teams in one group, and it was a round robin, and it was whoever topped the group wins. Okay. Yeah. So now is it just pure knockout? Is there no group stage?
Yeah, pure knockout now.
It is pure, right? Okay, so it is 2 teams, and then you'll get a third place playoff and a final. That's interesting. Okay.
The only cause for concern really is if it goes extra time penalties, unless they're going straight to penalties afterwards.
Embracing the Conti Cup. No extra time, just full-point penalties. I imagine they'll do it with extra time, and as you mentioned, well, we saw against with the Conti Cup, I suppose. Emily Fox can just motor through extra time and not drop a beat, so it may not be so bad. But wear and tear and injuries and fatigue, it doesn't bode well. Good run out for the non-England players.
Yes. So as we talked about everyone else, for Sweden, Stina Blackstenius ended up playing. I think it was 84 minutes before she was taken off, and Alessia was taken off on the 79th minute. Beth Mead came on the 68th.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Leah Williamson did not play, but I think that's kind of just a precaution.
I just think she's actually okay. Like, we took her, she had a niggle at her knee at the Continental Cup final. She's not 100%, although people are saying she is. Like, people just assuming her not having her knee wrapped up is okay, and it's probably not.
Serena said she was available. She said she was on the bench. She could have, had she wanted to, bring her on.
Yeah, but she didn't.
Well, given the state of the game, it would have made little sense to do so. As we will discuss.
That's true.
Well, shall we get into the game itself then? As Adam was there, how did you find Lottie? How was how did you find it? Just going before the game kicked off, before you found out everything.
It was good. It was a good night out. Certainly before the game. There's always the excitement of going to Wembley. I haven't been many times. Last time I was there, it was the Netherlands game, which we came from 2 goals down to win 3-2. Stinker of a first half, but a really good, vibrant second half, and won the game. It was good to take in a game there. Decent enough crowd. I mean, got the tube trains packed with England fans. The walk from Wembley Park to Up Olympic Way, packed with fans. And I know this has been going on for years now, but it will never not amaze me just how much support this is generating. You only need to flash back to before the 2019 World Cup when we're playing in, no offense to the grounds, but they were lesser stadiums. They were lesser capacity. They weren't 60,000, 80,000 stadiums. They were 4,000, 8,000.
We were playing at grounds like Wolves.
Yeah. Well, we're playing at Molineux.
We still do, but not as frequently. If Wembley is available, we're there. Let's be honest.
Absolutely, but we're not even stadiums like that. I'm thinking of like Doncaster Rovers grounds and the Keep Moat and things like that. So, it was great to see so many fans coming over, and it was, the hype was good. We all funneled in, and they had all the pyrotechnics and the light show. That if you were to take away everything, you'd think it was a men's game, and I think that is exactly how things should be. And then the game kicked off, and we just weren't ready. We just weren't at the races. There were some curious lineup picks. I don't know if you've got the lineups, Matt, to pull over.
Just getting them now.
There were a few interesting calls, and certainly when I watched the team sort of set up, trying to work it out, there were a few minor alarm bells.
Come on.
I can fish them out if you want, Matt.
I'm getting there. There we go. No, wrong one. Freaking 2-0 in 2018. Wrong one. No, now the match for the first phase. No, I want the. Right, sorry, Adam. Can you?
I will save you, Matt. Here, right. So
yes,
we had Mary Epps in goal. We had Neem Charles as left back. Wubben-Moy and Greenwood. Great to see Wubben-Moy getting a start again at centre back. There was a bit. We've been waiting for for Serena to give Wubben-Moy a chance at centre back. She's always been on the bench, never plays. She's now starting alongside Greenwood, Lucy Bronze at right back, and then a midfield three of Walsh in the lone pivot with Clinton Stanway either side. Russo leading the line, supported by Lauren James and Lauren Hemp, our 2 Laurens flying up the wings. Now, where I was sitting, the first thing I noticed was that Lauren Hemp was playing on the right, which I found curious because for me, Lauren Hemp is and always will be a left winger. And I think certainly for the first few minutes, I don't think she did very well. I think Clinton, I don't know about you, Matt, I thought Clinton had a really good first half. From what I was seeing, she was everywhere. She was getting the high press in. She was tackling in. A really good sort of not a defensive, but like a defending from the front, if you will. She was blocking off the sort of Swedish attacks, but everything just looked very, very slow. There was an obsession on possession rather than progression. I don't know what you thought I'm assuming you're watching from home, what you thought of the game.
So just for me, it felt like we were gonna. It was one of those games where we were slowly gonna get into it, and the fact that the goal came in 23 minutes, I think, was a bit of a surprise. I was probably expecting it maybe around the 30th minute if it was going to come. But you're right. There was a lot of passes where it was more about keeping it, making sure that Sweden don't get those chances. Just on the stats alone, we had 9 shots in total, 5 of them on target, 4 of them off. Sweden had 6 off target and only 1 target.
Yeah, which was the goal in the second half. It just didn't seem like the team was functioning as a cohesive unit, and there was a lot of backwards passing frustration that we were getting. A lot of the ball getting constantly recycled back to Greenwood at the defence. Walsh was just swarmed upon. Everyone knows if you take Walsh out of the game, England suffer. And, for Kira Walsh, you have to earn the right to play. You have to win your battle in the midfield. She didn't on this occasion. Sweden suffocated her, and I think England suffered because of it. There was a lot of cheap turnovers. We did have a scare about 5 minutes in. Russo got tackled, got fouled, and she was down for quite an extended period of time. And, of course, when that happens, certain injuries come to mind. But as it turns out, it was just a cut on her leg from a tackle that Sweden had made, and actually she was fine, and obviously had an impact later on in the half. The key moment for England came when they actually made a tactical switch. They switched Lauren James and Lauren Hemp as wingers, which I think was the right call. And they until Russo came off, that's how they stayed. So you had Lauren Hemp running on the left, Lauren James on the right, and that was where the goal came from. We managed to get a set piece. We managed to get a corner. I think we tended the ball rather well, moved it about a bit, and then Lauren James flips a delightful cross in, and it's a very good header from Alessia Russo to nod in.
As we've come to it, 23 minutes, the goal comes. Lauren James with a cross for Russo. Starts from Alessia with the ball to back to goal. Looks for Georgia Stanway, who then collects the ball, puts a through ball to Lauren James on the right-hand side, who drives past 2 of the Swedish defenders, and then puts in the cross for a stooping Alessia Russo to guide it into the back of the net.
Yep.
Lottie, how did you feel?
Sorry, mic's off. So Alessia Russo goal. She's opened up the first goal of the qualifying. It's like, yeah, let's do this. It was actually quite a simple one from her. She normally kind of misses these ones, if I'm honest, domestically, and it does drive me mad during the season. And I know people have heard me complain about it several times. It's like she can score these bangers, but the simple ones that she just seems to miss, like Stina does. It's a bit weird. But yeah, no, absolutely buzzing for her. Can we just talk about that font on the back of that shirt as well? What are our thoughts on the England shirts?
I couldn't really see them from where I stood. Obviously, you've watched. I haven't watched the highlights back, so I haven't seen the close-up of the players. So all I can see are the numbers, and that's how I was trying to identify the players. I couldn't see the.
It's very
names.
similar to the Arsenal Cup font at the minute. It looks good. But it's really, really, really good.
Okay.
But obviously it's black instead. I think it's black or navy blue, one of the two. I can't really tell with my eyesight. But yeah, no, really pleased for Alessia. She's opened up the goal scoring. I mean, overall result wasn't fantastic, but we've got a point out of it.
Well, yes, I'm obviously, as someone who's flying the flag for Russo, great to see her get a goal. And she loves scoring against Sweden because she did it on her last time out at Bramwell Lane in the Euro. So
was it? It couldn't be that cheeky back heel, was it?
It could be. It could be. But I was kind of hoping. Matt was sort of alluding to that we would get into the game. I thought, right, we've got the goal. We it's not been great, but we've worked out this Swedish defence, who I think on the night were very good defensively. Very good defensively. They've got the likes, obviously, Magda Eriksson, who we know very well from her time at Chelsea. Know what she's like. Likes of Asllani, Angeldal. Lot of talent in there. I mean, we did get a few pantomime boos out for Richard Cannery. Should say, actually, when they're reading the team names out, a lot of cheers for the Arsenal player. Stina got a lot of cheers from the Wembley crowd. I think you could tell there was
massive.
absolutely. There were some Arsenal fans hidden, a lot of Arsenal fans hidden amongst the supporters. There were also a lot of cheers for the likes of Wibben Moy. Kira Walsh got a good ovation as well. Beth Mead and Leah Williamson, Mary Earp. So it's quite clear there's a lot of fan favourites amongst the team, and let's just say it's just incredible how they are basically household names. Everyone knows who these players are now, and again, I'm getting a bit sort of teary-eyed over these sort of things, but it's just again, I think 10 years ago the players weren't known. Now every young player, I was talking, a young fan rather, knows all these players. I was talking on the tube, I was talking to some kids who were going, and they're like, I can't wait to see Ella Toon, can't wait to see Mary Earps. You know, I've got my sign. I'm talking, there's young kids outside the stadium who are singing the Russo's Magic chant, albeit a slightly NSFW, safer chant version, a bit more PG rated version instead, say cleaner. So yeah,
Can I just get that right? Did they change the light from Skinner as a twat to Skinner as a rat?
Yeah, they did.
Brilliant. I love it.
Brilliant. I loved
That's
it.
brilliant.
Because they were singing it, and I thought they were skipping it. So I sang it back to them, and they got really excited. Oh, this person has a chance. They carried on. I was like, that's not how the chant goes, but I like
Yeah,
it.
the thing is, when you're listening to the crowd, you're bound to get some like odd bits right. It's like Cooney Cross's song in the stands. Like, I know I've got a little in the Emirates for the WSL games. I know I've got a group of kids behind me. And say, instead of saying effing magical, absolutely magical, just so they can sing, because their parents told them off once. I was like, oh, we've got to change this.
Okay,
it's a bit more PG friendly. As much as I appreciate the songs are absolutely wicked, I think maybe reduce the swearing just a tiny bit.
Well, when
I know it's the odd word, but it's a case of it is there are kids around you.
Well, the goal went in, a lot of cheers, a lot of celebration, and I thought that was the moment that the team was going to kick on and maybe get another goal before half time, and it didn't happen. It just sort of flatlined. And there was an observation I made, and it was kind of a blatant one, because where I sat, it was happening right in front of me, and it happened time and time again. So Lauren Hemp had moved over to the left wing. I'm going to say it from the off. I think Lauren Hemp had a really poor game. Really, and I say this because I know how good she is, and I know that she's a very high quality player who has served England well and got many crucial goals. But every time if you watch the full game back, every time the ball gets passed to her, she stops, she puts her foot on it, she looks at the defender, and then she passes it back to the fullback, which in this instance was Niamh Charles, and she does it time and time again. And it got to the point when I was watching the play happen, and the ball got past to Lauren. Before the ball got to her, I said, she's going to pass to Charles, she's going to pass to Charles, and you wait, and then she passed it back to Charles, and it became so predictable. I'm thinking, you're Lauren Hemp. Run to that byline. You have the pace, you have the power, you have the trickery. You can beat the defender on the outside. And then she tried it once and just kicked it straight out of play. I don't know what happened to Lauren Hemp in this game, but she was very much off it. Lauren Hemp was better. Lauren James was better. Got obviously a good cross in, and I think looked a better threat than Hemp did on the night. As for Russo, I think she did rather well, and what she did really well was she was really good at pinning those centre backs. And it can't happen for the goal. England often went long for Russo as an out ball, and she was really good in backing into the centre backs, retaining the ball, and then popping it off for the midfielders, the likes of Georgia Stanway, who was bombing on to support. The problem then became is that whenever it got teed off to Stanway, rather than them carrying the momentum of the attack forward, getting maybe Bronze storming in on an overlap to progress the ball forward, it just got passed back to Walsh, passed back to defenders, and Arsenal may have had the ball on the halfway line, but Sweden had the defence back in shape. And it became so predictable, and they never changed it up. They never exploited the space behind the defenders that Russo was creating through her hold-up play. And it was really curious to watch, because if there's one thing I associate with Serena Dean with England, it's intensity, it's pace, it's power, it's high press, it's lots of goals. And yeah, we you need to look at when we beat Sweden 4-0, and that wasn't at Wembley, that was at Bramall Lane. Very, very strange. Very much, in the words of Arsene Wenger, playing with the handbrake on. That being said, if we'd held up for a 1-0 win, we maybe wouldn't have minded. But it was a very strange first half, given all the hype and all the build-up and all the pyrotechnics, and it felt like a big occasion that England just seemed reluctant to show up in.
Adam, you've hit something on the neck. So I remember Kira Walsh has been talking about that she's trying to get this, a meeting with both UEFA and FIFA about the schedule because it's been a bit of a chaotic. I mean, you've used on Hemp there. That sort of person, she's been playing 90 minutes pretty much every single match day, both for Man City and England, and it does take a toll. And then I look at someone like Beth Mead, who came on in the second half, and she looked a lot better. She looked a lot more fresher in my mind than she did in the Conti Cup final. She didn't look like she was like, this was too much. So was this one of those things that you kind of think about and go, this both of you, that maybe we need to look at more things than just this, just the schedule?
Far from me to criticise the great Serena Wiegmann. But like any manager, international manager certainly, she does have favourites. And I think Lauren Hemp especially, she loves Lauren Hemp to death. She will play Lauren Hemp and Beth Mead for 90 minutes if she could. Obviously, to play Beth Mead, you think there's an element. I can understand that with obviously recovering and Lauren James having a really good season. But I think you're right with Lauren Hemp. I think she's been overplayed. And I think that game, I would have taken her off at half time. I'd have said, you've had a good run out. We'll put another winger on. She played the full 90 minutes and she played in every position in the front three. She was a left winger. She was a right winger. She was a centre forward by the end of it. I know we are jumping ahead a bit. She had a good chance sort of near the end, didn't take it. But I think she's a left winger. I don't think Lauren Hemp's a centre forward, and I don't think she's a right winger. I think she's a left winger, and I think I would have taken her off over Lauren James. I find it really weird that Serena didn't, but then again, I shouldn't be surprised because she never does. I think back to the Euro final that Hemp played almost. I think it was like the last few minutes when Nikita Paris came on, but she, even though she wasn't maybe having a bigger impact, she stuck with Lauren Hemp for the entirety of the game, and I think maybe Serena could have used the bench better, because I think there is an element of truth that Hemp has been playing 90 minutes, not just this season every game, but I think she's been playing 90 minutes in nearly every game for the last few seasons, just because how critical she is to Manchester City and how critical she's become for England. And at some point, I do worry that at some point she's going to burn out.
Do you think, I know Serena doesn't always play Ella there. Do you think she's in the same situation at City as Ella Toone is at United? Playing every single game without fail.
Yeah, I think there isn't. Maybe seeing it with some of them. I mean, Toone didn't. She only came on in the second half. She didn't play full 90 minutes. I think that benefited her. I think for me, Hemp, I would have kept. I was very surprised when Lauren James got subbed off and Beth Mead came on. That for me wasn't the logical sub. I think I am worried from an England perspective. If Hemp starts to cough and splutter, that's a really potent weapon on that left flank that we've been losing. And I look at Caitlin Ford for Arsenal and look at how she has. I know she had a really good cup final, but she was I think she's now become a bench player because she's burning out. I think Hemp, if England want to use her, I think she's going to be moved to the bench, because I just can't see her being able to offer the pace and the drive that she offers as part of her signature game for 90 minutes. I just worry her tank is running dry now.
If that's the case, I also look at go back to like Frida and Hardson Morning, the fact that she was running in that final.
Yeah,
first minute 5 seconds she's upstanding, next minute she's on the floor, and that is the worry, isn't it? Because they can overexert themselves and it can cause more injuries. It can cause internal issues as well.
I would be careful with that. I mean, I can understand an ACL coming from overuse. I think when it comes to, we don't know still all the facts about Frida.
That was the example.
Yeah, you could say potentially that might have been a cause, but I mean, if you think there's a lack of research in ACLs in terms of what causes it, we have no idea. Those things are so freakish and rarely happen to sort of pin it on any sort of cause in the build-up, and maybe in terms of overwork, I think would be misguided, certainly.
So we'll go on to Sweden's goal on the 63rd minute. Sweden have a throw-in. The ball eventually finds its way to Stina Blackstenius in the box. who then flicks it to Kafaji, who's opting to cross where Frodolino Royal waits to heading. Very eerily similar to Russo's goal. Are we looking at the end of Bronze's career because Bronze failed to track her teammate? The only reason I'm posing this question is because there's a little bit of debate about what's happening with Bronze. Adam, before we talked about this a little bit about Lucy Bronze at the Continental Cup final as well.
I do. Bronze has been a superb servant for England. I mean, when we were starting to become, her rise of England coincided with us becoming semi-finalists continuously. And I think back to Canada 2015 with that brilliant goal she scored against Norway, which that was Lucy Bronze sort of arriving on the scene. And as we have sort of become I don't want to say a power on the international stage, but we certainly won the Euros and got to a World Cup final. Lucy Bronze has sort of been on that journey, but at some point that journey comes to an end. We've already seen Steph Houghton retire. Steph Houghton retired with from England duty. I think entirely. Sorry, should I say her career's over at the end of the season. I do wonder if maybe the time with England with Lucy Bronze is coming close because for that goal she should have been. Rolfo was her player and she lost her. In fact, I don't think Bronze had. I was saying to Ali next time. I don't think Bronze had a good game because she was not offering the defensive protection we needed at that moment, and in attack she wasn't offering anything. There was a moment I think when the ball came out to her on the edge of the box, which is when we were sort of chasing the game, and you're thinking, "Oh, Bronze to come right onto it," and she completely missed it. It flew right past her.
She keeps having these moments at Barcelona as well. I've seen it. It's a bit weird. You've got to wonder if she's at that point where she is actually going to retire. I think a few games ago she allowed, I can't remember who they were playing, she allowed someone to score and then she had to go back up the other end to get the points back. So it's a bit of a weird, it's like she's not constantly switched on. Do you think there's possible burnout there, Matt?
You could probably argue that as well. There's always an issue. I always think to myself, you're not always going to be concentrating for 90 minutes, but if you're constantly playing those 90 minutes, other things set in, injuries and things like that. I don't think this is going to be the end of Lucy Bronze. I think this is going to be one where she'll just go, right, okay, I'm in a bit of a bad patch at the moment. I think her swan song's going to be Euros.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Also, just a reminder, guys, it's been a year to the date since we beat Brazil and we won the Finalisma as of today.
Well, yeah, I did see that do the rounds. Amazing how things can change in a year. I think Lucy Bronze, I think she was culpable in the Champions League final for the Wolfsburg's first goal. I think there's a mistake there. And of course, it was her turnover in the World Cup final that led to Spain sadly winning the final ahead of us. I think the problem we got in that position is I don't know if we've got somebody who can step into that position. Maybe Rachel Daly, but we know Rachel Daly should ideally be played. Despite my beliefs otherwise, I think she's a striker really. The problem with Lucy Bronze is that there's never really been an alternative for her in the fullback position of sufficient quality that you could say I'll put Lucy Bronze on the bench and I'll play another a right back to cover for her. And I think that's what we need to start doing at some point because maybe the legs are starting to go. I still think she's a quality player and offers stuff, offers a lot for England. I just think back to how Jill Scott was used in the Euros, and maybe she's going to be a bench option, a finisher rather than a starter, because she was caught out rather badly for that Rolfo. We should take nothing away from Sweden. It was a good goal. I mean, it was a good header from Rolfo. Should say it just it came from a mistake by us. We'd won the ball on the touchline, and then we gave away a soft throw in. And it was just something so petty and stupid that we could just clear the ball up the line, but Sweden hemmed us in. We made a silly error, and then defensively, yes, Bronze made a mistake at the end, but I think there were quite a few mistakes around there because the ball shouldn't have moved about the box with such ease from Sweden. But I would say watching the game, I thought, Sweden deserved this because in the second half they've been the better side. They've been hemming us in. We've not had any real moments of quality or threat. Yes, it was ultimately the only shot on target, but they'd had enough presence and enough territorial dominance, and they put us on the cosh enough to warrant getting something. And it finished 1-1. And to be honest, it was a bit of a gut punch, but to be honest, I wasn't surprised when the goal did happen.
Just on that, I think there's probably, just on Lucy Bronze, just quickly, I think there's only two players that I see at the moment that can play right back, and that's Jess Carter and Niamh Charles.
Yeah, Neve Charles was left back.
Is there anyone who isn't in the current squad from last night that could fill in those boots?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the question.
There
you
are
look across
players.
the WSL at the English players and the other players who don't play in the WSL. It's just you just got to sit there and think who would be able to fill those big boots.
Well, if you can think of one, do let us know in the comments below. Because I think this is a good point. When you got such a great player like Lucy Bond, you never look for a place.
If we move Jess Carter out there, just in theory, would you guys bring in Maya Letizier?
Maya Letizier is more a centre back, isn't she, than a right back?
Yeah, but if you're moving Jess Carter out to the right, would you bring Maya Letizier in? That's my question. That's what I'm saying.
Alternatively, Greenwood's playing a centre back because Leah Williamson and Millie Bright are injured. If you were to play Alex Greenwood as left back when Leah Williamson comes back in, could you play Charles at right back?
Yeah, that would be the ultimate. I always think.
To be honest with you, I don't trust Charles as a lioness just yet. We know what she can do at Chelsea. I'm not too sure of her for the lionesses at the minute. I'm just not sure.
Would you trust Jess Carter at
I wouldn't trust Jess Carter with my shopping, let alone paying. I'm sorry.
He said it. I didn't say it. We're good.
Yeah.
He said it.
I'm sorry.
Matt said it, not me.
Just
side note: Vic Akers Wonderland does not take any responsibility for the appearance of Matt Roberts has over Jess Carter. Any slander against Jess Carter was purely by Matt Roberts and not by the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast.
just for me, I don't think Jess Carter is England quality. She can do it on the odd occasion, but she's got this vulnerability factor, like where she can switch off very quickly.
I should say, in the interest of balance, I thought Jess Carter had a really good World Cup final, as I said before.
Yeah.
I think with Jess Carter, if you're going to play her, you play her in the back three. And if Serena goes to a back three, you play Jess Carter. I don't think she could play in the back four. This is a debate we had, I remember, after the Belgian game and also against the Netherlands at Wembley when we were torn apart by Bernstein. I don't think she is a competent enough defender to play in the back four. I think in the end, I think on the game, because she came on in the second half.
For me, she can do a job, but she's what
came
you
on
want.
for Charles.
She's not naturally that sort of player that you put right. I'll pick her in the best 11.
She came on for Charles in the second half, similar time that Russo came off and Kelly came on, and to be honest, that made more sense to me playing her at fullback rather than at centre back. So I could see it working, but again, is she as good as Lucy Bronze was in her prime? You think back to 2017, 2019 when she was one of the best players in the world. No, but at the same time, are you going to find a fullback as good as Lucy Bronze was in her prime? Again, probably not.
This is probably one of the reasons why Serena's pushed for the under-23, so that she can find that next right back, that next left back. I mean, we've had on the previous pod people talk about Maj Pacquiao as well, potential left back that we could have. There's opportunities out there. There are players out there. It's just finding them. But we'll just quickly go on because 3 minutes later, Stina Blackstenius is through on goal from a long ball. The opportunity to win the game, and she does the most Stina thing possible, and she hits it just wide. She could have taken it round Mary Earps. She could have chipped it over Mary Earps. No one was getting it back, but no, she hits it wide. And I sat there with my mum in the room, and I was going to go, this is goal 2-1. And she goes and makes a fool of me of making it of hitting it wide.
This is going to sound really cool of me, but I had no confidence she was going to score. I mean, I was hoping she wasn't going to score, but I didn't think she would because it's just
the most Stina Blackstenius thing.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans see. I'm sorry, we're all Arsenal fans here. We all know she should have had 4 in that Conti Cup final, but she did get the final one, which we couldn't be happier with.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit of an odd one, especially with goals like that. I feel like she hesitates, and
overthinks
that. If Sweden were going to win that game, that would have been that moment.
Yeah,
that would have been it, and they fluffed it basically.
The longer Stina has to think, the worse her composure is. If it's instinctive and instinctual, she doesn't have time. If she's just got to be one, like the goal she scored in the Conti Cup final, where I've just got to get my feet right and score. She's fine, but running through like that. No, and I've been credit to Earps. Earps does as much as possible to close down the angles and sort of tries to rush Steiner in some sense. Make it yeah. It was a poor moment. It happened right in front of us, and that was like that was a let off. That was a very much let off because Sweden should have won this game based on the chances that they had. I mean, I'm going to look forward to hopefully pulling over the XG later this afternoon, but they had the better of the chances. And that was the moment for if Sweden were going to win it, it was there. Should say after that moment, I don't think Sweden really had a sniff. I think after that, I think Beth Mead came on. As for Lauren James, again, I thought that should have been for Lauren Hen, but Beth Mead came on. We should say Toon came on for Clinton as well. I thought, again, Clinton had a good game, but I could understand Toon coming on and the whole Toon-Russo partnership. But I don't think the subs really made any impact. Anything tangible, anything like a shot in the arm, boost of energy. There might have been one or two little impact moments when they initially came on, but it very much devolved back into how England were playing, and which was really disappointing. And then Kelly came on, and I saw that, and I thought, oh, I know what Serena's going to do here. She's going to take off Russo, and she's going to put Hemp in the centre of the park. And I think this was just about getting as many fast players on as possible and as much pace as possible to try and do it. And I think there were 2 chances at the end. I think in the end, Hemp and Mead.
Yes.
But to be honest, I don't think England deserved anything out of it. I certainly didn't deserve 3 points. I think a 1-1 draw was a fair reflection on the game in the end. But yeah, very a disappointing start because this is a tough group and you've got to win your home games. We've got France and Ireland still to play. If we've got a chance of getting through the group and avoiding the playoffs, ideally you win your home games and you try and pinch one abroad, away at Ireland or away in France or Sweden. And this for me puts us on the back foot.
So just picking up on what you've said, Adam, just for those that don't know, top 2 go through automatically. Don't have to worry about playoffs. The playoffs then, but if you're in the bottom 2, you go straight into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that is essentially you take on the members of Group B and C who finished top and second. So, for example, we could end up if we finish third in the group, we could end up facing Greece and say Northern Ireland. I think they're in the same bracket, but let's just say for that sake, home game. We get the home game at Wembley, most likely at Wembley against either Northern Ireland or Greece. For the sake of the argument, would you be in favour of that? Because it means that it's not going to be as easy. We have to make sure that we get ourselves over that line for 90 minutes.
I mean, this is designed to avoid the 20-0s against Latvia's and the 10-0s against Luxembourg and the frankly ridiculous results, which are just pure stat pad. So we are playing competitive games. So we're playing at a high level going in, but there is a risk. There is a risk that we could miss out if we get this wrong and we drop into the playoffs and we lose the playoffs. It could happen. And I think back to when we played the Nations League and we missed out. We came second, so we stay where we are, but we missed out by 1 goal. That's how tight and how marginal this whole group stage is going to be. That you concede 1 wrong goal, you drop 1 or 2 points. That could be the difference at the end. So yeah, I'm all for this because it keeps the game more competitive and greater competition will create greater improvements. It keeps England on their toes, knowing that they can't they're not games they can saunter through. They can play in second gear and win 10-0 and there is no stretch, there's no tension, there's nothing to invest in because there's no jeopardy and the players aren't being stretched enough, and then they come to a major tournament and suddenly they've got to play at a high level. They're being made to play at a high international level consistently, which is good. But they need to do that, and they didn't. And that's the disappointment. They didn't play at the level required. My worry now is if we got Ireland next, and I think I'm guessing France might be a double header or something.
France will be in May, but that's a single game, which is a bit odd. But
when we play that game, if we play like we did last night against France, especially away from home, we won't win. No chance. No chance. And against Ireland, away at Ireland, if we aren't up for the fight, you can be darn sure Katie McCabe will be, and Anna Patton will be wanting to make an impact. That England have got to wake up and shape up. And Serena might need to look at that team and maybe think a few of those players didn't turn up at Wembley, and we all saw what happened.
I think Adam's spoken from Lottie, it's just on the whole group scenario. Is it one that keeps you on your toes a little bit more, because it's, you look at how France did against Ireland. France only won 1-0.
Thing is, Ireland are now coming through as a force. Right, we kind of, with the Lionesses, we've got the top players across the leagues. I mean, we've got Lucy Bronze and Kira Walsh out in Spain. We've got the Arsenal girls, you've got the Chelsea girls, and we've got the pick of the crop. And a lot of players have kind of, they're looking at England and they're probably opting to go to Ireland, like Anna Patten had, because they're not going to get the minutes. Whereas you look at Ireland, and you've got top players like Katie McCabe, you've got Rusha Littlejohn, and several others, and
Louise Quinn.
Yeah, Louise Quinn as well. And you just look at that team, and they're building something over there, and I can see why Anna Patton's gone there. They're not I don't want to disrespect Ireland, but at this point we're suffering burnout while they're just getting started.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that's where we're at, and that's how the game is developing at the moment. They're growing, and we're already at that peak. If that makes sense. And it's
I tell you what, if they got a win against England, on Tuesday or one,
the girls would never hear the end of it from Katie. I know that much.
But that would be such a momentous moment for that team to take that next step, because they only lost 1-0 to France. They put in a real gutsy performance. They held a really good, talented French team at bay for most of that game. If they were to get a result against England, you can imagine celebrations. You can imagine that could be something that will kick this team on, because they got to the World Cup, and they put in a few good moments. They scored that great goal from Katie McCabe.
Yeah, they were just in the group of death. I think they would have had half a chance if they weren't in that group. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, so we can't take them for granted. I mean, if you look at all the teams, you would, if everybody was playing at their maximum, you would say they will probably be the team that will drop into the playoffs. But we've got to make sure that as England fans, an England team, we make sure that happens and can't rely on that. We can't be in a position where we're relying on results. So hopefully we can go to Ireland and wake up and put in a proper performance. And I think it's going to be a cracking atmosphere and a cracking game.
So a warning then for England, that's for sure. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be, hopefully, too hard, but it is going to be very difficult. 1 point on the board. England are on the way to qualification. Who knows? Automatic or not. But for now, that's all from us. So goodbye. And where can they find you, Lottie?
You can find me at Lottie_AWFC, both on Twitter and Instagram. You can usually catch up with my match days on Instagram, because that's where my photographs gone. Although I've got a massive upload to do at the minute. It's just photos waiting in the wings, so to speak.
Adam?
You can find me in a few places. You can firstly find me at Adam Salter 4, where if I'm not writing something slightly intelligent, I'm winding up everybody else. And with WSL season coming to a close soon, and you're missing out on your Arsenal Women fill, the Arsenal Women Archive will be dropping clips regularly through April, May, June, and July and August. So do keep an eye out for that. You can follow that at the AW Archive.
And you can find me at BatLR28, or you can follow the VAW pod for Vic Akers Wonderland pod. That's all from us for an international following. We hope to see you again soon. Enjoy wherever you are. See you next time. Goodbye.